Welcome to our Imola Grand Prix review episode. Joining me as always is Tom and Nick. Welcome, gents.
Hello.
Afternoon.
It's a big long name, but we know it is Imola. So, sponsors, apologies.
I was hoping you was going to do it.
Yeah, I'm not doing it, and I'm not putting on the accent this year. So, I remember the episode that we did the first time Imola, and it was, what does aqua minerale mean? And it turns out mineral water.
Yeah.
So, yeah, suitably disappointed. But yes, Imola Grand Prix from Italy. Probably the last one we're going to get for quite a while as well.
It seems that way.
It's a shame because it's a track I love to watch cars go around, and it's a track I love to drive on video games. But this race was okay, it was pretty decent. But in the past years, it's not been a brilliant race to watch.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I do think this year's race was only kind of decent because the split strategies. So there was a lot of overtaking, but it was cars on fresh tyres overtaking cars on worn tyres. But it still spiced it up a bit.
Yeah, it was interesting that Pirelli went a bit softer on the tyres. And I know the teams don't like that, but it certainly gave us a little bit of racing. I wish they would just go soft. Remember we used to have 3 or 4 stop races?
Mm-hmm.
That was a laugh. It's probably terrible, but I'm just remembering it was good. But
yeah,
at least it spiced up a little bit. Tom, did you enjoy it?
Yeah, it was good. I mean, maybe it was qualifying more exciting. I don't know. No, it was decent race from Imola. When it's not raining, I always worry about a dull race, like you said. This was acceptable.
Yeah, I do know what you mean by that.
Thank goodness for the safety cars. Although they were out a long time, the safety car.
Yes. Did you see the sorry, you did see the video because I know we shared it. The one with the marshal getting run over by the car.
Yeah, ran over his own leg.
Yes. I hope he's all right, first of all, but it's funny.
Yeah, I hope they're okay. Although in the clip they stand up again, don't they? So.
Yeah, everyone cars aren't that heavy. It's fine. I'm sure it's fine. It's got big bouncy tyres on it anyway.
True.
All good. Okay, we'll jump straight in then.
Yep.
Qualifying, and it was actually, as Tom mentioned, quite an exciting qualifying session. It all kicked off with Yuki Tsunoda absolutely binning it in big style, coming towards, was it the second chicane?
It was, yeah.
And yeah, he did say after that he's not going to be a hero anymore in qualifying, which would be good. But that was an absolutely massive crash, and he walked away with it when little more than bumps and bruises, which is again very impressive. But it was fairly spectacular.
Very fortunate. I mean, I don't believe any injuries happened, but there was photographers and other personnel and marshals nearby, and debris was flying. Not ideal to see a car go on top of the barrier there, but it all worked out seemingly.
Yeah, it took out the light post as well, which I thought was quite special.
Yeah, because that could have landed anyway.
Yeah.
And it didn't seem like a really obvious mistake, really.
Not to the degree that it took off. He went over the curb too much by a small percentage, but yeah, it really threw the car off.
I feel slightly for UK. He's obviously trying very hard.
Yeah, but it's not working. Like, it isn't working. I don't just mean in reference to this, but overall pace gap to Verstappen, and coming in with part way through the season is not ideal either. I still think Liam Lawson will be vindicated by this.
Yeah, but it's fine because it's Monaco next, so there's no pressure there.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, they were able to use him in the race to hold up someone. Oh, they actually didn't because he made a mistake. But
no.
At least he was in a position kind of to do that. But it's just not working. It's not working. But I think he's been given a free pass in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Should have kept Checo.
Probably should have, to be honest, but no one was disappointed when he left.
Yeah.
Cadillac is not denying potentially speaking to him, are they?
No.
No, it wouldn't surprise me if he ended up there at all. So, other drivers who fell out in Q1, Colapinto, who binned it right at the end of the session, which cost Ollie Behrman his Q2 time because the red flag apparently came out milliseconds before he crossed the line, which I think was good enough for 12.
Cut to a shot of Jack Doohan.
Laughing.
Yeah, he kind of was smirking a bit, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm. Did you hear on the commentary what they said? That obviously wasn't a live reaction. I mean, we're hearing that actually was his live reaction.
Yes. Brilliant.
Yeah, quite right. The guy stole your seat. Why not?
Exactly.
Colapinto, not an impressive first outing there. Put himself out in Q1 with a big smash, brought a red flag. Bortoletto and Antonelli, Hamilton and Leclerc all missed out in Q2 though. So Bortoletto, well done, getting through to Q2, but the other bunch,
yeah,
that was ridiculous. Was in both Ferraris and Antonelli. Like, could you have sent the Italian fans home any less happy?
This is very true.
Yeah, shocking. They didn't, the Ferraris especially, they were not necessarily on track at the end, were they?
I cannot remember. I know they didn't really have the pace in qualifying regardless, but I don't think it affected them.
I think they did two runs in Q2 as well, and just couldn't get anywhere.
Aston Martin beat them with a medium tyre, and Ferrari was on soft as well. I thought that was quite interesting.
Yes.
Yeah. It looked like in qualifying a return to speed for Aston Martin.
They had new updates this weekend. And obviously, Adrian Newey is now allowed to do interviews, and he did his first interviews, didn't he, recently, since joining the team, and maybe he's designed a wing for them. I don't think so.
I don't think so, no. I think he is purely on next year's car.
Yeah, which makes sense. But it seems like in the end they didn't, but they have made a small step forward, Aston Martin. And maybe other people dropping the ball in qualifying flattered to deceive a bit when it came to race pace. Although, as we touched upon, I think they got messed up by the safety cars, didn't they? Virtual safety cars a bit.
Oh, yeah.
Who's impressed me this season is Isaac Hadjar. Again, making Q3 again. Qualifying P9. He's been extremely impressive, and he's beaten Lawson again.
Get him in the Red Bull.
Yes, let's ruin his career already.
Yes, the man that Helmut Marko called embarrassing on his debut, wasn't it?
Oh, I've forgotten all about that. Yeah.
And ever since that, I don't know if that helped in some ways, but he's been very impressive ever since.
Don't vindicate that behaviour.
No, that's true.
No, not at all. 2 Williams again, impressive, 6th and 7th, and it was Oscar Piastri who took pole. Again, another brilliant lap from him, just under 300 for a second quicker than Max Verstappen. And Norris struggled again in qualifying. He was 3/10 off his teammate in P4.
At one point, I think was Sainz quickest in Q2, and at the moment live, it was like, it could do this. This is pole position for Williams. Obviously, nowhere near, but
no,
still strong.
I think he benefited from a toe on that one, so he went 3/10 slower in his Q3 time, but I think he was behind. Was it maybe Bortoletto during his lap, which helped him? But even then, P6 beating Albon again. Williams are coming back into form.
And they've stopped development on this car already.
Have they? Just all next year again.
Oh, they're the first team to switch their wind tunnel testing to next year. Yeah, fully.
Right, okay. Race. We have Piastri alongside Verstappen at the start with George Russell in P3. It's a really good start for Piastri and also for Russell. Russell gets a run on them. Piastri goes to cover him off on the inside and seems to completely forget about Max Verstappen. He's covering off the inside. He brakes extremely early for the first corner and just allows Max to take the racing line into the corner and just breezes past him from miles back. It looks like a spectacular overtake. I think it's probably the first mistake though that we're really seeing from Piastri.
I would put it more in percentage terms, more in Max's favour in terms of wow, that was a decisive move on cold tyres, brakes, and just nailed it without locking up right. But there's definitely a Piastri factor.
Yeah, I kind of agree with both of you in that. I think it was a very good move from Max, but it was made much easier by Piastri.
And Russell would agree with that sentiment.
Yes. What is he doing? But yeah, I think, as Colin said, I think he was more concerned about Russell with the quick start and just didn't expect Max to go that around the outside there. But yeah, once Max got the head, there's nothing Piastri can do at that point.
Does he bring out like a 2, 3, 4 second gap?
Mm-hmm.
It seems like he had the pace all race, although I would caveat slightly later on.
Yeah, there was no point I really thought that Max was going to get caught.
No, I don't
doing
think so.
this. Everyone's on the mediums really that's in contention, apart from Hamilton and Kimi Antonelli. They're both starting on the hards. Leclerc starts to make good progress through the field. He makes a move at the top of the hill on Pierre Gasly, and Gasly goes off. But again, I didn't think there was anything Leclerc did wrong there.
No, I don't think so. No, I think Gasly just essentially looked like he got scared off the track.
Yeah. Ocon, I think, made a first lap pit stop, didn't he?
He did, yeah.
Strange that.
Yeah, someone said it was strategy, but that just seems bizarre if it was. I haven't seen anything else otherwise, but...
Hard to see how it would have played out, that.
Yeah. Norris catches up to the back of Russell, and it takes him quite a few laps to get past, but eventually does do it. He has a couple of moves into the second chicane. He puts himself on the grass at one point, but then on lap 11 he manages to take the move into that chicane.
It was a great move, and at a place where it's always possible. You just don't see many in that way. But it's a shame it took like 5 laps as dress rehearsal before.
Yeah. Yeah, he was definitely quicker. He should have had him earlier on. But it was a good move.
Yeah.
We then get a bit of strategy game going. Piastri pits early, as does Leclerc, Russell and Alonso, and I think Sainz as well. They all pit quite early to get off their mediums onto the hards, and they're aiming for a one-stop race. Verstappen, Norris, it all continue on, and Piastri is immediately dumped back into all the traffic that he's got to fight through, which gave us some good entertainment in making passes, but it seemed a strange jump that early. Very reactive to the people behind rather than trying to, outmaneuver Verstappen, really.
Yeah, I think Leclerc was the big reason that a lot of people went for it, because he pitted early and he made up a lot of time, because when I think it was Russell and a couple of others pitted, they ended up behind him, whereas Leclerc was a lot further back before that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it wasn't the right thing.
Hindsight's wonderful, isn't it? But what I was thinking was, if he stayed out as long with Max, would Piastri start clawing a little bit back in? As generally the McLaren seems to be better on the tyres, hence the whole debate over the cooled rear tyres, right?
Mm-hmm.
And was it Zach Brown drinking from a tyre water bottle recently?
Yes.
So you kind of think, oh well, if they're going longer, that would be great. But we didn't get to see that because Piastri pits and, like you said, Colin, straight into the load of traffic.
Yeah, he makes decent enough moves. He's also got a tyre advantage. I think, as you say, he catches up to Tsunoda, and Tsunoda does nothing, and immediately gets past. I can't remember if that was this pit stop or not.
There's a radio message that says, please hold him up, but then he runs wide.
Yeah, so Yuki doesn't really help there. But I think Piastri makes up to the back of Albon before the other pit stops start happening. So Norris, I think, goes to lap 29 or 30 by the time he makes his stop. Just after he's made his... I was literally watching it live as saw Norris pull into the pits. I just went, there's going to be a safety car here. I just knew that something would fall, and it did. There was an immediate yellow flag in VSC, which gave Verstappen a nice cheap pit stop. It was Ocon, I think, that pulled off.
It was.
Just after the hairpin, and it brought out a VSC, which also helped a few drivers who were hanging out long, and encouraged, I think, a few second stops. Does anything else happen mid-race, really?
No, there was a few passes. People that were on fresher tyres passing people on old tyres still. And most of them were the DRS passes into Tamburello.
Yeah, Hamilton was behind Antonelli for a good chunk of the race, probably about half of it, and before he eventually got past. But then Hamilton was flying at this point.
Yeah, the Ferraris had some spurts of pace. They seemed to be really quick and then dropping back again.
It's so frustrating. They made some progress last year, and this year's a backward step. And you just can't tell if it's going to be a good corner, a bad corner, a good lap, a good race. Forget it.
I remember when they said at the back end of last season, yeah, we're binning this car and starting again. Like, ooh, that's a little bit of a risk, isn't it? Because they weren't bad at the end of last season. They were looking okay. But yeah, you're right, they're so inconsistent.
Yeah.
I think they'll be nowhere in Monaco. Absolutely nowhere.
Leclerc has a special ability on street circuits. He might drag a podium out there.
He's put it in the wall about 4 times at
I was
Monaco.
going to say, is that his special ability?
I know. No, but he's but got pole position still, etc., etc.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
Won it last year, didn't he?
Yes, finally. That was great to see that.
Yeah. So, yeah, he might grab a podium out of it.
It's going to be Alonso that's going to win it this weekend.
That would be fun.
You heard it here first. You put some money on that?
Oh, God, no.
50p?
No, I'll just throw these daft predictions out there. I'm not putting any stakes on them. God, no. So we'll have a fairly sterile race at this point because Verstappen's got almost a pit stop lead over Norris. And then the hometown boy, Kim Antonelli, pulls over at a similar place from Ocon, slightly further away from the escape route. But he pulls over with an issue, which brings out the full safety car, which shafts Fernando Alonso again, and he says he's the most unlucky driver in the world.
That amazing quote. But Fernando knows when he's on the radio, he's very pointed and deliberate, and knows it gets picked up. I mean, in theory, every driver does, right? But more than anyone, he's like playing a PR game on the radio, I think.
Oh, yeah.
But he should have got points today. This race.
Yeah, it was a better race for the Astons, but they got their strategy all wrong and got caught.
Yeah, and Stroll fell down to 15th, again, through all the safety car stuff, I think. So if Alonso had it bad, I think Stroll had it slightly worse, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. Leclerc got pretty shafted by the safety car because he only had a soft tyre he could go onto, and it sounded like he wanted to go on that tyre, but the team didn't.
Yeah, there was some confusion there, standard.
Yeah.
Yes. Norris did pit for a new tyre, whereas Piastri stayed out, so the restart order was Verstappen, Piastri, Norris, with Piastri on old tyres. I think he had Hamilton behind him at this point. Was that right, or was it Albon? He had someone behind him at the restart. I've got a feeling it was a Ferrari.
Are we talking about Leclerc?
Is it Leclerc? It was. He had Leclerc at the restart with Albon behind him. So the big controversy after the race was, should McLaren have swapped positions immediately at the restart? I say that they couldn't, because Leclerc was pretty much putting a move on Norris at the restart.
Ah, okay. My vote was for yes, and it seemed obvious, but
they could have done it about 2 corners later. You're right.
Yeah, anyway, it's just more indecisiveness from McLaren at the healer moment, isn't it?
If I'm honest, I like the fact that they don't tell them what to do, but in hindsight, yes, it probably is the right thing to do to swap them, but I'm sort of the opinion, let them sort it out themselves on track.
Yeah, we're not in the closing stages of a championship, are we? You know, if one of the drivers was in with a chance of a title and the other one not so much, then you would definitely do it. It robbed people of a fight for the win, potentially.
Yeah.
But it was still interesting seeing them battle out like that.
Yeah, I think so, but I don't think either of them are going to catch Max.
Yeah, you're probably right, yeah. But during a safety car, you're thinking, oh, if they do that, they might, even though that was wrong.
It was a good move into Tambriel. They both kept it clean.
Yeah.
Which I suppose you would expect from teammates, but we see an almost identical move about 2 laps later between the Ferrari and the Williams, which is not so clean.
Yeah.
As Alex Albon tried to go around outside of Charles Leclerc to take P4. Before we get to the move, Albon's fighting for P4 on pace.
Yeah.
Which is amazing for Williams.
Unreal, and I think Sainz would have been up there too if he hadn't pitted so early.
Yeah, there was a lot of people who had problems with the strategies and things. Albon may not have been in that exact position if everything had played out without the safety cars, but the pace of the car was definitely on par with the cars around him.
And I have a feeling that if he makes that move at that point and gets it done there, He could be on for a podium there. Piastri said that in the cool-down room. Like,
Yeah.
if that didn't happen, he was quicker than me, so that would have been a podium.
Exciting times for Williams, but as you say, if they're stopping the car now, this might be as good as it gets.
I mean, they've probably got enough points to not finish last in the constructors. That's probably all they need at the minute.
Well, yes, there is that, but I think everyone's going to do this. Anyone apart from probably McLaren, Red Bull, and maybe Ferrari and Mercedes are probably already pretty much all onto next year's car.
I mean, Sauber didn't even bother with this year's to start with.
No, I would say cut and paste, but they made delivery tiny bit better.
Everything's relative.
Yeah. So the move from Albon and Leclerc, he goes around outside at Tamburello. He gets ahead in the braking zone, and then Leclerc just runs him off into the gravel. Fair? Not fair? Because it also loses him a position to Hamilton.
It's borderline, I think, but I think overall it was a bit too much. But I wouldn't be upset if he got a penalty for it, and I wouldn't be upset if he didn't get one.
Yeah, it's a tough call. Very tough call.
So would you give him a penalty? Or would you
I think I would.
do what they did and revert the position?
Oh, no, as they redressed themselves, I'd leave it at that.
Yeah, exactly that. And I do think in general, and I know that they can do this, but it needs to be made probably a bit more obvious for TV viewers that there should be like a instruction to let the car pass come up like a penalty notification.
Ah, okay.
If you see what I mean, that where at the moment you get something comes up on the screen says 5-second penalty for this, it should be, swap positions or due to
Redress.
contact on this, because it is confusing for people who are not paying close attention to the commentary.
Yeah, the only problem with that is it's not an FIA instruction, it was a team instruction.
Yes, in this
The
case.
FIA says they won't give instructions like that anymore, they'll just dish out a penalty.
Yeah, see, I don't like that.
No, neither do I. Like, race control, yeah, to try and avoid the penalties if you can.
Mm-hmm.
Should do like a BTCC Race 3, which is all investigated after the event.
Yeah, in the
Yeah,
bus.
Whatever happened to Chris Smiley's jump start? Anyway, it's alright, no, we're on time.
Yeah, we'll deal with that in 2 weeks. We're not bothered. So yeah, Albon eventually got fifth. It probably could have been third or fourth had he not had that incident. I'm kind of agreement with you. I thought it was too much. I thought he had enough. And I hate the rule that they're drawing an imaginary line at the apex, because the car on the inside can just come off the brakes and get there
Oh,
first.
yeah. Totally.
Yeah.
But he was ahead in the braking zone, so to me he's done enough to win that corner.
He was ahead when he initially turned in.
Yeah. But still, P5, not bad at all. So I suppose it was kind of a recovery from Ferrari, getting P4 and P6 from a disastrous day.
But other people were impeded by the safety cars and they benefited from it. I'm not sure they had the race pace to really be up there. I know Hamilton's going strong at the end, but he's on fresh tyres and others aren't. So it might be a result that flatters to deceive.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Ordinarily, shouldn't Russell have been up there?
Yeah.
Yeah, again, he was another one that pitted early and got caught, I think. But yeah, big shout out to Hajar, another points finish, P9, whereas Lawson was 14th. Tsunoda did recover to P10, which, to be honest, in the fastest car this race is the minimum you'd expect.
I mean, McLaren's won the Constructors already, right?
It kind of looks that way, but hopefully not.
Yeah.
Which is weird to say.
Yeah, it's going to be tough.
I mean, the fact that Red Bull is in third, yeah. It's just a one driver team.
Yeah, that's true.
132 points. Mercedes are behind McLaren. And Red Bull's in a further 16 behind. So, after all that, Piastri still leads the championship, but it is now just 13 points between him and Norris. Verstappen is 22 points behind the leader as well in this.
Yeah, this result was great for the championship because it was the top three reversed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's a 3-horse race with the potential for Russell to maybe get involved, but the longer this goes on, the more he was going to fall back, I think.
I think it would have been that if he managed to finish fourth in this race. Seventh doesn't help so much. And then they do need a significant step, assuming that Red Bull and McLaren don't have one as well.
Yeah.
But he's doing an amazing job this season. He's really flying under the radar, I think, in many respects, because he's fighting for a top 4 or 5 in every single race. And at some point, those top 3 will crash into each other.
Yes, we hope so. Not seriously, but we hope so. So Monaco is next up, which is the great unknown, but I fully expect... I was going to say I fully expect McLaren to win that, but then Max is the X factor, isn't he?
Yeah.
And he didn't spend his Wednesday evening going to see the F1 movie, so
True.
he was at home playing R Factor or something, whereas all the other drivers were there seeing the that one. Everyone else is out at the cinema.
Oh yes, I do have a weird prediction. I don't know why I think this, but Kimi on pole.
Ooh.
Oh, I've heard something about where was this? Someone was saying, his driving style suits Monaco. I heard this somewhere.
Well, sorry, I should clarify. Kimi on pole or in the wall.
Yes.
I think he's going to be quick.
It's a max track for me. But that would be nice. I'd love that.
Yeah, that would be great.
I've just got a feeling about Alonso, and I don't know why. I think Alonso podium. I'll retract it from a win to a podium.
I mean, that would be mega.
I was curious when you mentioned it earlier, so I did look it up with a live Google search. The odds of Alonso winning the Monaco Grand Prix are 400 to 1.
Stick a quid in it, Colin.
Yeah, Leicester were 5,000 to 1. So
Yes.
there is hope.
Exactly.
Yes.
And we do have new regulations for this year's Monaco Grand Prix for the tyres, don't we?
You have to make 2 stops, don't you?
I know that's the original plan was you have to use all 3 tyre compounds. That's how they've dictated 2 stops.
Which is 2 stops. Yeah, right.
That's going to be... Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to watch. I'll hopefully spice it up a little bit.
Well, the problem with Monaco is if anyone tries anything out of the ordinary with the strategy, you get stuck in traffic and you can't do anything.
Yeah, but having that, you could have the potential of having like someone on softs trying to pass someone on hards.
Even then, they won't get past them. But no, you're right. The difference between, I suppose that's 2 steps of tyre compound. At least gives you a chance.
Which apparently Pirelli are considering for other races in terms of not medium, soft, and hard, but like having, say, a C1, a C3, and a C5. So there's 2 steps between the compounds of soft, medium, and hard. But I don't know if I like that or not.
Because, I'm not sure. Well, maybe only in Monaco, but elsewhere it might feel a bit cheap. Mind you, it might provide some interesting racing, so I'm willing to try it.
Yeah.
But at Monaco, especially in a dry race. Was it last year or the year before? And everybody's just in a queue going, well, I'm not pitting if you're not.
Yeah. I know, it just gets very boring.
Yeah.
Well, we've got a bunch of rookies on the grid this year, so hopefully one of those spice it up a bit.
That's very true.
Colapinto.
Yes. He's got 5 races or 4 races left. 4 races left
Easy for you
to win that seat. Exactly. So there's 5 drivers still without points. Fernando Alonso, it's going to change this weekend. Liam Lawson, how unspectacular has he been so far?
I know.
Yeah. The Red Bull move has really knocked him.
Yeah. Jack Doohan, who I don't think we'll ever see again. Bortoleto and Colapinto after his first race as well. Hasn't scored.
I reckon Bortoleto might not this season, but she's not necessarily a reflection on his driving versus Hulkenberg. So Hulkenberg had the fortunate strategy in changeable conditions in Australia and got the points.
Yeah.
But I don't think either of those cars looks like they're going to do anything really.
No, it's going to be a weird result somewhere is the only way they're going to get it.
Yeah, I agree. Right, that was a brief episode. You guys got any more you want to touch on?
Well, I just wanted to say very, very quickly, and it's very contentious, and so we're not going to mention the rumours or anything like this, but obviously we assumed that Flavio Briatore was absolutely the cause behind Oliver Oaks standing down, and it might be some other stuff.
Yeah, we don't know. They're still the FIA don't recognise him as team principal either, do they?
No, oh really?
No, they've said that Briatore is not team principal. He is covering the role or the duties that Oliver Oaks took, but he is not in charge of the team as far as the FIA are concerned.
Yeah, and it's Speaking of five, we said that yes, he definitely was banned
Oh yes, I saw
for
that.
life, but he overturned it in a French court.
Yes.
Years later. Yep.
Yeah, it was reduced to a year, I believe.
Yeah, something like that.
And the only other bit of news I wanted to cover was the whole Franz Hermann thing. Because I think it confused a lot of people when people kept saying, "Oh, Franz Hermann on his debut is winning."
Yes. He's got a brother now.
Oh, has he?
Yeah, is it Frank Herman? He's down in Australia.
That's
I think
so Australian.
Daniel Ricciardo made an Instagram post to him in a Jeep.
Oh.
I'm sure it was Frank Herman, and he only allowed Verstappen to comment on it.
Oh, really?
So,
Brilliant.
yeah. Bring back Daniel. He can't be worse than some of the spanners on the grid at the moment.
Ooh, it's over. It's over.
Oh, yeah, it is sadly, but
It's calling Cadillac, but it's over.
I don't know. I think a few more months and Cadillac will call Colin.
We'll see. But yeah, Franz Hermann was Max Verstappen's pseudonym when he was taking part in a test at the Nürburgring Nordschleife and allegedly set a lap record.
yes.
Which then a GT driver, was it Maurer Engel for Mercedes, was like, well, come on, he wasn't in a series, therefore he wasn't subject to BOP.
Yeah.
And then Max did respond and say, well, that's stupid. I'm paraphrasing.
Yes.
So, bit of aggro online, and he also gave his sim racing teammate, who's now rail racing this year, Chris Lullum, some laps around there as well.
Yeah. It's good to see him branching out. It's just unusual that it was in a Ferrari. Obviously, I know it's not Ferrari backing or anything like that. It's the Ferrari car, but yeah, it still just seemed weird.
His team, Verstappen.com Racing, they have an Aston Martin and a Ferrari, and they use one car in a series with longer races, and they use a Ferrari in the sprint series. So presumably they've done testing and realised that one car's better at tyre life over long stints, and one's better in a sprint race. I mean, I've no idea, but yeah. So they have Aston and a Ferrari to choose from. The Ferrari did win the Nürburgring 24 Hours 23. So maybe there's a perceived performance advantage around that circuit.
Yeah, he could be.
Okay, that'll do us for this week. A brief review of Imola. We'll be back next week with the Monaco Grand Prix. Is there touring cars this week, or is it next week?
Okay.
It's this week, I think.
Snetterton, isn't it?
Yeah.
Brilliant. So we'll have a double episode next week about Snetterton and Monaco. One will be much more exciting than the other. I'm going to predict that one now. So thank you for downloading, and we'll see you next week. Goodbye.
See you later. I've just realised I'm nodding and I don't have a camera on.
I've got everything minimised. Hang on.
I was just going with that.
Oh, yeah.
We're done.
Yeah, we're done.
Yeah.